After WWE 2K23 revived the series, many people, including myself, were expecting Visual Concepts' next game to solidify the new era of WWE games, building on the foundations and getting one step closer to being the best wrestling game it could possibly be. And even though WWE 2K23 does meet these expectations in certain areas, it falls flat or even takes a step back in others. So how was the game hardly stronger than what came before? How, after praising the previous iteration so highly, have I come away from the game feeling franchise fatigue once more? In this video, I will explain how WWE 2K23 was so disappointing, but also where it got things right. I am Sly Geordie, and this is WWE 2K23 1 year later. So this is where we begin. Another year, another WWE 2K game to dive into. The first things you'll notice, John Cena is once again the cover star. He's the showcase for this game. The menus are looking clean with a similar style to 22 and a Titantron in the background displaying various superstars' names with their unique colours. It's a nice concept, and I may be nitpicking here, but 2K17 still isn't beat, not by a long shot. MyRISE, MyGM, Universe, and MyFaction are all still here, of course, nothing surprising there. The soundtrack is once again pretty good, executively produced by John Cena himself, with tracks from Post Malone, Doja Cat, and Metallica, just to name a few. There's some good variety here, and although I think 2K22 had better, I never felt the need to remove any of the tracks, and it never felt jarring like 2K18's soundtrack. Definitely don't mind putting these songs in my playlist. There is one new match type added here, and that is War Games, an elimination chamber style matchup from WCW with 2 teams, 2 rings, and 2 steel cages. It made its return in NXT and has been a feature of Survivor Series 2, so it was only a matter of time till it made its debut in the game. Gameplay is largely the same, and after a couple of games, I'm now firm in my belief that although it is decent, the old control scheme was definitely better and made for more enjoyable matches, but hey, that's a personal preference. I don't mind it, and I'm sure you don't neither. Except for ladder matches. Those ladder controls deserve to go to hell, still. Charged signatures make their debut, not a feature I ever thought of having, but it's certainly a welcome one, that's for sure. And that's pretty much it. There's nothing else really of note here. It's largely just a refinement of the previous game. However, there is a definite issue with the reversal system that we need to talk about. The reversal problem is what I'm about to show you in this 1-minute clip of gameplay, featuring a pretty angry me encountering the issue. Take a look.
Why can't I reverse? Fuck off! Fucking hell! Get up! I can't reverse! It won't let me reverse! What is this shit? I can't do anything, you can't! Fuck you! Fuck off! Fuck off! Fuck off! Fuck off! How fucking stupid is that? That is so fucking stupid! Fuck you!
What you just saw is essentially what hurts this game the most for me. An entire 40 seconds, sometimes more, of no reversal prompts. I become a passenger of the game essentially and have to wait for a prompt, which becomes increasingly frustrating in timed matches like in this clip. This can happen on any difficulty, easy to legend, and it honestly just feels like the game purposely dragging out matches to pad out playtime. Not saying that is the case, but it certainly feels like it in the moment. I have no idea why this happens. It's almost like the old reversal slot gimmick from the older 2K games when you run out, but since that's not a gameplay mechanic anymore, there's no reason as to why this should be a thing. It's such a game breaker for me, as you could tell from that clip, and contributes heavily to me seeing the gameplay as a step down in terms of the fun factor. But anyways, that's a bad aspect of the game down, so let's talk about a major positive. Okay, so as usual, spoiler warning for this next section. Feel free to skip ahead in the chapters if you'd like, as we are now going to be talking about MyRISE. What is touted as a career mode by Visual Concepts themselves is actually just a glorified Create a Superstar Road to WrestleMania type mode. In the previous year's game, this was basically Here Comes the Pain meets 2K19 My Career for the first hour before committing more to the Here Comes the Pain style for the rest of the game. Mini stories, but no real overarching narrative. 2K23, however, goes much further down the 2K19 style, providing a story for both a solo male superstar called The Lock and a solo female superstar called The Legacy, the latter being a first for the series. As usual, you are greeted by the My Player wizard that debuted in 2K18, and as usual, I wish it wasn't here, as I think it's pointless, seeing as the moveset is what I go into straight away before ever progressing through the story anyway. The customization is the same as ever, a leader in the industry. No game does it better, to be honest, and I'm happy to see YouTubers who aren't usually interested in WWE, such as Angry Joe, see this and praise it as it deserves. Although since it's hardly changed since 2K17, I don't think we should be praising Visual Concepts for this, and more Ukes, as it is essentially their system. 2K23's MyRISE is a definitive step forward, as they of course added a story, but also kept what worked in 2K22, so you can still do side stories exactly the same as you could in that game. It is definitely an evolution worth experiencing. The Lock is a story that I won't go too in depth on, as I've already done a playthrough of it on the channel, which you can check out in the description, but essentially it is about a male superstar making his debut under a corporation designed gimmick titled The Lock. It's pretty realistic and self-aware, as our character, who has a much better voice actor this year, constantly states their disapproval over being given this gimmick instead of just being themselves as they were outside of the WWE. As frustration builds, our character gets into a new faction, ruins said faction, eventually turns the company fronted by Shawn Michaels against him and is kicked out, promptly causing a brief stint on the indies before returning to win the WWE Championship with a new faction. It's a fun story. I like the documentary aspect of it, but it's really predictable and not as good as the buzz story of 2K19. I don't hate it, but I wouldn't exactly replay it neither. A solid 6 out of 10 in my honest opinion. The Legacy, on the other hand, is really good. I might be a little biased, seeing as though a solo female story is unprecedented in these games and in the sports game industry as a whole, but I genuinely feel like they did an awesome job here, and I regret not playing it on the channel. The story follows your female superstar, LJ, hoping to live up to the legacy of your aunt, former WWE superstar Justine. At first, I felt this story would have been a little weird and awkward, but I can't lie when I say I definitely got immersed and invested in the narrative. Justine is a flat-out, unlikable character who I wanted to distance from my character as soon as possible. She's clearly some legend wanting to steal the limelight from the new generation, as we're typically experiencing in the actual WWE product itself in recent years, and doesn't even care about her niece's career all that much, because if you reject her, she starts managing your rival, who just so happens to be the current SmackDown Women's Champion. Ava Moreno is also pretty unlikable at first, but depending on certain decisions you make, becomes pretty likable, as she is loyal to your character and always has your back. Nothing, however, could have prepared me for the final stretch of the story. You make it to Elimination Chamber, the final pay-per-view before WrestleMania, and you're so close to winning your first Women's Championship. However, there is one final competitor in a dark pod who is none other than Justine, who takes your moment away just like many legends have done to the new generation before, but this time it's personal. In a surprising turn of events, you are offered the choice of two different endings: face the past or embrace the future. I chose Embrace the Future, and what follows is a narrative that caught me completely off guard. Visual concepts essentially calling out the fact that WWE has these returning legends who constantly take moments away from current superstars even though their time has passed. Quite ironic, considering recent events. The Rock. This storyline culminates in an absolutely amazing promo that, you know what, I'll let the scene itself do the talking.
What's that you said on SmackDown? About having to survive a world 5 times as hard and 7 times as brutal? In the moment, I think I would have said you were making excuses. But now I know. You're exactly right. You did work harder to get less. You should have been the main event week after week when you were in WWE. Sure, they threw praise on your name after you retired when management decided they needed to add another woman to the Hall of Fame. Or now when they want to get a Legends ratings bump. Fans buy into that nostalgia but forget what it was really like for you. How they treated you when you were on the roster.
What do you know about it? You don't understand.
But that's just it. I do understand. You've been teaching me since my first day in WWE. And you know what I finally really get? Everything that you've complained about, that you're mad at, for all that you blame management or other things beyond your control. It's always been me who's been your real target. Because I'll never know the limitations that you did. I will get to push myself in ways you never could, have opportunities that you never would have been given, and see how far I can really go. And you? Justine, you're a legend. The best of her time. Maybe could have been the best of all time if you had a level playing field. But the fact that you'll never know and I will, that's what you'll never forgive me for. And that's what's going to allow me to replace your legacy with my own.
You ungrateful piece
You're a
of...
selfish, self-centered, only thinks for herself.
Because I'm the only one I could ever count on.
Looks like we have something in common then, because I certainly couldn't count on you.
You don't deserve your talent. It should have been me.
But it's not you, Justine. It's not you.
It'll be me at WrestleMania. I've still got it.
Sure, you've got what's left. Enjoy it while it lasts. But me? I'm just getting started.
So, with the final war of words out of the way, you defeat Justine and claim the SmackDown Women's Championship. The story takes a little weird turn at the end with an impromptu match with Molly Holly, who featured as a mentor turned enemy in Embrace the Future, and you have your character on Justine's podcast as background audio, seemingly friendly once again, and I just don't see that happening. Justine seems to be an incredibly selfish character, and I personally wouldn't have forgiven her so easily. I wish we had the choice not to, but regardless, the legacy is incredible, and the Embrace the Future ending is a masterpiece. It's a must play. So, I think visual concepts have a winning formula here with MyRISE, as long as they improve the storytelling and pacing, as the lock and even certain points of the legacy were a bit fatiguing to get through. And I won't lie, I do miss a traditional career mode in the vein of 2K16 or 17. Hopefully one day we get a game where we can have both MyRISE and MyCareer. I think it's very possible, seeing as though SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 was able to have a bare bones career mode alongside multiple Road to WrestleMania stories. All they'd have to do is have the title rankings, a checklist like the Paul Heyman Hall of Fame or Authority challenges of things to do, rivalries, promos, interviews, and t-shirt sales that earn VC. Just a 15-year traditional career mode like those older 2K games, as it's a little weird how WWE is the only sports game to not have one. Just a thought. But yeah, MyRISE for what it is, mwah, perfect. General Manager mode saw its return in WWE 2K22 and is back in WWE 2K23 with very minor changes. Hall of Fame challenges are added, which allow you to play multiple seasons, 12 new match types, new GMs, and new brands, being NXT 2.0 and WCW, all of which could have been added in a patch for the previous game. In the WWE 2K22 review, I said that the mode was a good foundation, and that's it. It's still inferior to SmackDown vs. Raw, still has that style gimmick that doesn't make any sense when certain superstars who work insanely well in real life have a mediocre match in-game. You know, like when you put... so in 2K22, if you put Sasha Banks against Bayley, you know, a match that would always do well in real life, guess what? It doesn't do well because, hey, both characters are a heel, or both are a bruiser or whatever. Like, it just doesn't make sense. I don't like that gimmick, and honestly, the lack of changes, I'm not surprised. It's a good mode, but if you played a lot of 2K22's iteration expecting 2K23 to give you a reason to jump over, you're going to be pretty disappointed. It's just quality of life fixes, nothing more. Universe mode. Oh boy, I've already made an angry rant on this, so feel free to go check that out, link in the description. Where do I even begin? It's the same as last year, blah blah blah. It's barely a step forward from SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, which was what, 13, 14 years ago now? That's crazy. And I thought FIFA's career mode was outdated. WWE 2K puts that to shame. It is a shame that nobody but me seems to bring this up on a yearly basis. I personally haven't used the mode consistently since 2K17. It's just a complete joke at this point, with even more removed features. They removed the promo engine in 2K22, which admittedly was understandable, although I loved it for its scenes and I used them quite often in my old Universe Career Mode series, and so they were quite important for my content, and so were show intros, which have now been removed. Funny thing is, they were actually in the game on the vanilla version, but are missing by the time you install any patch, so make of that what you will. The removal of the intro, the pyro, the commentary announcement of the show, and the location it is in deals such a blow to immersion for me and makes Universe feel just as lifeless as it ever was. I don't understand why they'd remove such a small feature. Yeah, I get some people would turn them off right away, but what about the people who didn't? It is just bizarre how they've gotten away with this for 14 years, and I honestly don't have the energy to raise my voice about it anymore. But Jordy, they added rivalry choices in. Oh, so basically what 2K15 had? They're just removing one feature and putting another in, calling it new content, and no one bats an eyelid. I ain't wasting any more words on this. Y'all don't care about this, so why should I? In conclusion, I was cautiously excited for WWE 2K23 and was planning to do a lot more content on it before quickly becoming quite fatigued with it and barely played it. This is only my 10th video on the game, for example. It took me months to finish the MyRISE, the Lock series, as I couldn't find the motivation to play it, and I ended up playing through the Legacy alone. I barely touched MyGM past a couple hours, haven't been interested in Showcase since 2K16, Universe is boring, and I still haven't even clicked on my faction since it debuted. The gameplay is frustrating, and honestly, I'm almost right back to where I was with the series before 2K20 came out, tired and ready to explore other games and stick with older WWE products that I'm more satisfied with whenever I want that fix. WWE 2K23 is not a bad game at all, it's just not good enough. So that brings us to WWE 2K24 and finishing the story. Despite how much I enjoy MyRISE, I've made it no secret that I don't see any replayability past the initial playthroughs of that or the other lackluster modes. I've reached a breaking point once again with this series, but I still want to have one more proper stint at creating content on a WWE game once more. 2K24 represents WrestleMania in its 40th year, and so it's a special game on principle. I want to play the Showcase despite how disappointing it seems it'll be. I want to play MyRISE because I've really enjoyed the past 2 iterations and want more. I want to play MyGM as, even though it is bare bones, it is still a fun time, and I want to set aside my disdain for Universe mode and experience what made me enjoy it so much as a child in the first place, all those years ago. I've accepted that these games are going in a direction that doesn't warrant spending full price on. I've accepted that I will always prefer 2K16, 2K17, and 2K19 over the visual concepts games, and have accepted that WWE 2K24 is where we will finish the story. So I hope you guys will join me. I'll be live streaming the Showcase, MyRISE, and a little bit of MyGM for WWE 2K24. I think I'll keep Universe mode to myself, although I might do a little bit of content on it. And for sure we'll be doing content on some of the new matches, like the ambulance match, buried alive match, special guest referee. We could have a lot of fun with that. I'm looking forward to it, even though this is probably going to be the last WWE game I buy for the foreseeable future. I'm quite happy sticking with the older ones, and honestly, I'm just wanting to buy better games, to be honest. So, better games and different games. But maybe we'll do content on the older WWE games as well. It just depends on how it does on the channel, but I do have a second channel for content that I don't really care as much for, so we might end up doing it all on the second channel. That might be really cool. But yeah, guys, thank you guys for tuning in to watching this review of WWE 2K23. If you guys liked it, be sure to hit that like button as hard as you possibly can, comment, share, and subscribe. Go check out my trilogy of videos that I've made on WWE 2K24 so far. I know the last one was quite a little, polarizing. Not even that. It was mostly a positive reception. Got over 2,000 views on that angry rant over the Showcase mode for 2K24. I still have some videos coming your way. Pretty soon we need to review the soundtrack for the game, and other than that, that's pretty much it, and we're just waiting for the game to come out now. So yeah, it's gonna be cool to play that. Be sure to check out my other content if you're interested, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Till next time, peace.
Why would anyone want to steal someone else's oatmeal?
Because it's delicious, and I can smell it on your breath.
I don't want your oatmeal. And I really don't like being called a thief. If you want to continue this conversation, I'm happy to do it in the ring.
Like I have time to mess with the likes of you. I've got big time stuff to do, let alone the fact that I've got to go out and get myself a new bowl of oatmeal. I'm far too busy. No thanks to you.